Now here's a review of Nobody Wants to Die, which I just finished. Nobody Wants to Die, I think it's on all the major platforms, at least on PC, PS5, like the newer generation. It's a gorgeous looking cyberpunk detective noir game. You can hear the music on the background. Not one of the aspects I enjoyed the most. But yeah, let's dive into it. Same thing that I did with the previous review. Was it Vanishers? That there's going to be 10 different categories I'm going to be reviewing, and I'll just give out numbers 0 to 10 from each category, and then we're going to see how much points the game gets. I'm not going to spoil too much, because who knows, maybe someone will get something out of the review and maybe try the game or avoid the game, however you want to see it. We're going to start off from a narrative and story. This is a narrative game. It's almost only narrative. Yeah, there are gameplay aspects, but it's, was it 2300 something the year where this takes place? So in the future, a rather grim future. Most people, especially the rich, are basically immortal. If you've seen Altered Carbon or read almost any old sci-fi, it's the same thing. You plant your consciousness into an empty shell and there's a market of bodies, and if you're rich you get the best bodies from the marketplace, and there are body auctions and stuff like that. So if you're poor enough, your consciousness just goes to the bank and stays there if no one affords to buy a new body for it, and so forth. But yeah, it's a detective story. You're a sort of a decadent detective and go on a case. A lot of intrigue, weird stuff, a lot of tripping. So it's kind of psychedelic also, and lots of different outcomes. The game can end differently. I already know that. Surprisingly, I'm only going to give it 8. Even though this is only a story game, I'm only going to give it 8 because it feels like the similar story has already been told. For example, Altered Carbon is very close. Of course, different styles and so forth, but yeah. And yeah, detective. Interesting, but nothing like mind-blowing. Next, Atmosphere. And I'm going to say it's awesome. I'm going to give it a 9. And here's why. All the lighting, like the graphical stuff, all the atmospheric sounds, how the tension is built, all that stuff is done very well. And at least on my part, it kept me guessing, sort of like, what the fuck is going on? But didn't they just say that? And should I do this? And all that sort of stuff. That was very atmospheric. It drew me in, and I love it. So a 9. Then a bit difficult one, sort of like authenticity, originality. In a way, this sort of game is original, because there aren't so many this type of games. But then again, similar sci-fi cyberpunk setting has been seen several times. Detective game is nothing new. The shell consciousness thing, it was called Icarites, by the way, the conscious, like cards. Nothing new, basically, on that regard. I'm not going to explain it more. I'm going to give that an 8 also. So, not too common, but nothing actually new. Maybe I'm harsh. Who cares? This is subjective. Characters, I might even give a better number to this, because the main characters, which are basically 2, are interesting. You kind of want to know what has happened to them previously and what's going to happen to them in the future and so forth. But at the same time, the whiskey sipping, cigarette burning, decadent detective, we might have seen that sort of character every once in a while. But still, 8. They have personality. I like it. The side characters that we see, the game doesn't actually like delve too deep into their motives. Mostly it's just fuck the rich kind of stuff. But yeah, they are there. Technical side. So audio, voiceovers. I was very mixed with this. I think the voiceovers were pretty good. Professional, very professional. Nothing stood out to be bad. But at the same time, I kind of think that a game that really, really leans on the story and the characters and the visual and audio side could have had even better voiceover. And I'm not a massive fan of this like old school music type mixed to the sci-fi setting. But still, I'm gonna give audio and voiceovers a 9 because it was good. It was good. And like I said earlier, the atmospheric side was done very well. Very good. Probably the best aspect of this game is graphics. I said during my streams several times that in some parts the game kind of looks like a tech demo for Unreal Engine 5. And some parts of the game really like shined. They were very nice. And I'm guessing if you have a solid computer and play this on very high setting, it looks even better. I played this on PS5 and it looked gorgeous at times. Maybe, just maybe, a bit uneven here and there. So I'm not sure if the quality just like stayed the same all the time. Or maybe it was just the tripping parts. So basically all the interactive bits that you see, like, I'm not sure what to call it, like weave of consciousness every once in a while. That looked a bit tacky. Maybe some of the animations had something that could have been better. But all in all the slow-mo replay and forward tracking stuff that you did with the like detective reconstructor thing, future stuff. That was very nice looking. So graphics will get a 9. So very good. Very good. Not perfect, but very good. Especially some of the textures and lighting were like a 10. But not everything. Then maybe the part that doesn't really shine in this sort of game mechanics. There were some gadgets that our protagonist uses. They worked very well, but it was like a train ride. Just use this, okay. And nothing special. There was no inventory or anything like that. Nothing. It's not an open world game. There was no traversal or anything like that. So the game mechanics were very basic. All except one. The thing I just mentioned earlier, the reconstructor thing. I'm surprised that I can't remember seeing that sort of stuff earlier in games. But probably there has been. But basically you reconstruct the crime scene and then you can go backward and forward in it, and it looked very nice. It was a nice combination of easy game mechanics and the graphical style. But yeah, nothing special. Game mechanics will get a 7. Playability, gameplay also gets a 7 because, let's be honest, there's not much to actually play. There are a few things, few times you have to smash buttons. Every reconstruction requires something you do, then you have to use the gadgets, walk around, run around, but that's it. So all that stuff works very well, but there's not much to play. I can't say it's a walking simulator, but close. So a 7 also. Then something that is very difficult to actually decide how many points to give, length, replay value, or replayability, however you want to say it. I love this sort of games that don't take forever. I think this is between 5 and 6 hours or something like that. So if you think about games just like how much time they can consume from your day, then maybe this is not for you. But then again, the price tag kind of shows it. Normal price is 25, I think. So quality, length, matches, I think they match pretty well. And there is some replay value because you can do things differently, get different outcomes, get very different dialogue. But I'm not sure I'm going to be like starting a new gameplay tomorrow. Probably at some point, but not in a while. So it's going to be a 7 also. I'm going to be strict with this. Let's not get carried away. It's a 7. It could have been longer. Kind of gave me some Mankind Divided vibes in that regard. So we could have gone a bit further. But I'm not complaining. I'm all about the quality. It doesn't matter if the game is 2 hours or 46 hours. If the quality is there, it's fine. It's fine. And the story got told. Maybe later I'll decide that it was just a bit rushed, but not at the moment. I'm content with that. And then the last part. I'm not sure if I decided to call them Sleeky Points, but I'm gonna call them Sleeky Points. So extra points. Price tag was good for this sort of game. If the game would have been like fully priced, like 60 euros or $60, I would have been outraged. Although I would have waited for more in that case. But the 25 price tag, very solid. I can't remember many bugs or glitches. So things worked well. Of course, this sort of game doesn't... Well, of course. Who knows about this? But there are no additional costs or stuff like that in this sort of game. It would be so weird. The vibe is awesome. Like I said earlier, atmosphere is fitting. Although I didn't like... I forgot to mention earlier, I didn't like the way the intro was handled. I didn't think it fit well, the Fallout style, like graphical novel drawn thing. It didn't fit into this game, but small gripes. I'm gonna give 8 extra points. So, TLDR, it's a good game for everyone who wants a sci-fi story game. Play it. In short. But let's see how many points that was. It's... math. 80. And I think that's quite good. Worth playing. I'd hate to give like 65. It would be Disgaea level. But yeah, there was my review. Thank you.